In this entry, we'll be taking a look at the character of T'Challa, the king and warrior of Wakanda, from the 2018 movie Black Panther. The movie showcases Wakanda, a futuristic African nation made up of 4 tribes. They are, however, viewed by the rest of the world as a third world nation. Unbeknownst to them, they are technologically advanced, made possible by the existence of vibranium in their territory. The Wakandans have kept this secret away from other countries from generation to generation. T'Challa's reign exemplifies a generational shift that aims to transform Wakanda's place in the world. T'Challa is the only son of King T'Chaka, the late king of Wakanda. He is the heir apparent to the throne and consequently the Black Panther. T'Challa's ascent to the throne is met with a lot of challenges. These challenges define some of his actions and decisions in the movie, but it doesn't stop him from being a transformational leader. Power, they say, is intoxicating, but this is not the case with T'Challa. He possesses some of the qualities of a transformational leader. He has a measured manner. He doesn't allow his position to change his attitude towards people considered his subordinates. This is evident in his behavior throughout the movie, especially in the scene where Killmonger, his cousin and U.S. Navy SEAL, challenges his authority to take over the throne. Any other leader would have ordered his execution. T'Challa could have abused his power by overriding the decision of the council, but instead he takes up the challenge to partake in the ritual combat yet again. T'Challa is a dutiful king. His top priority is to be a great king to Wakanda, and his loyalty is unwavering. When he is given the heart-shaped herb substance to drink during his coronation ritual, he goes into a trance and travels to the land of the ancestors. On meeting his father's spirit, he seeks his counsel on how best to protect Wakanda because, according to him, he would like to be a great king just like his father. This shows that he is passionate about doing right by his people. Flexibility is an invaluable quality of a good leader, and this is not lacking in T'Challa. He is open-minded and willing to welcome change, so far as it is going to accomplish something great. That is why he always seeks advice. For instance, when Nakia, his ex-lover, informs him that she cannot stay back in Wakanda because she cannot bear to be amid abundance while other people are suffering, he asks her what she thinks can be done. She suggests they give them aid and access to technology. He disagrees with this proposal because, according to him, making other countries aware of the abundance in their country will make them lose their way of life. However, he is not entirely dismissive of her suggestion. Instead, he decides to seek advice like a flexible leader would do. He proceeds to ask W'Kabi, a friend and the border warrior leader. W'Kabi agrees with him that starting up a refugee program will lead to the refugees tearing Wakanda apart with their problems. T'Challa is also compassionate. He avoids anything that will lead to destabilization of other countries. W'Kabi advocates that instead of setting up aid and refugee programs, Wakanda can clean up other countries. Even though T'Challa knows that they have what it takes to achieve this, is not interested in being a bully like other powerful nations of the world. He informs him that waging war against other countries goes against everything Wakanda stands for. He also repeats this creed to Killmonger during their first meeting and reminds him that his primary duty is to protect Wakanda. Similarly, his compassion leads him to rescue Agent Ross, a CIA agent, during their mission to capture Ulysses Klaue, a criminal who has stolen their vibranium to sell on the black market. When Nakia recommends taking Agent Ross to Wakanda, he doesn't hesitate to do so, even though it will jeopardize their plans of keeping Wakanda's secrets. When General Okoye disagrees with the plan and reminds him of his duty as a king to protect Wakanda, he says saving a life is a higher priority than the duty. Equally, during the ritual combat with M'Baku, the leader of the Jabari tribe, for a path to the throne, he grants him a soft landing by giving him a chance to yield or be killed. M'Baku, because of his ego, chooses to be killed, but T'Challa reminds him that his people need him. This makes M'Baku rescind his decision. T'Challa could have thought about killing him, and his death would have granted him the opportunity to make the Jabari tribe join Wakanda, but he instead chooses to do the noble thing. He also extends this kindness to Killmonger even after he attempts to take his life and his throne. He takes the wounded Killmonger to see the sunset just to fulfill his wish of seeing his father's story of Wakanda's sunset in real time. He goes ahead to offer him healing, but he turns it down and chooses death over imprisonment. T'Challa inherited some of his leadership traits from his father. His father confirms that the things he has learned by his side would help him be a better king. As a result, his loyalty to Wakanda becomes the most essential leadership trait that he has cultivated. Apart from his superhuman abilities, T'Challa's combat skills are arguably subpar for a king. He seems to be in his element only when the powers of the heart-shaped herb have overtaken him. His fight with M'Baku is not a walk in the park as one may have envisioned. It is a tough fight, even though he later emerges as the winner. As a matter of fact, the ritual combat with Killmonger is a disappointing show. Killmonger mocks him by asking his people if this is the person they have chosen to rule them. That he is alive after the combat is the deus ex machina in the movie, because Killmonger throws him down the ocean instead of killing him. He would have died if not for M'Baku's rescue. This means that without his Black Panther suit and his powers, he is just an ordinary man with average combat skills. T'Challa's motivations come from his passion for being a better leader to his people. This becomes an important question he has to ask his father on getting to the great beyond. His father advises him to surround himself with the people he trusts. This he does by making Okoye, Nakia, and W'Kabi his closest advisors. Also, even though using Wakanda's technological advancement to wage war against other nations will make him one of the most powerful leaders in the world, he resists the urge because protecting Wakanda from all the chaos around the world is more important to him. Similarly, during the confrontation with his father's spirit, because he executed N'Joba, his brother, while leaving little Killmonger behind, he notifies his father that that singular action threatens Wakanda's peaceful existence. Thus, he must go back and right that wrong. Furthermore, T'Challa is driven by a need to follow in his father's footsteps when it comes to leadership. There is little wonder why he asks his father how he can be a great king just like him during his first consultation with his spirit. Likewise, in line with continuing what his father has started, he informs the council that bringing back Claw from Korea is vital, because not capturing him over 30 years ago has been his father's greatest regret. T'Challa's most significant influence is Nakia. The major decisions he has to take in the movie are all from her recommendations. His decision to take Agent Ross, even when it was against his goal as a king, has been proposed by Nakia. He also implements her suggestion to help poor communities by buying the building where his father executed N'Joba and calls it the Wakanda International Outreach Center. He makes Nakia the overseer of the social outreach, while Shorey becomes the overseer of the science and information exchange. Being in love is beautiful, but it can expose your vulnerabilities. T'Challa possesses the qualities of a great king, but some of his actions are flaws that are not fit for a king. It is difficult to know if his decisions are influenced by his own personal convictions or his love for Nakia. For instance, he has always wanted to protect Wakanda's secret from the outside world, and the first time he compromises that principle is when Nakia recommends they take Ross with them against the better judgment of General Okoye. That singular decision is quite risky because Ross, who is allegiant to the American government, could have exposed them. Risking the fate of his people just to save one man contradicts everything he stands for. Additionally, he establishes the Wakanda International Outreach Center, after asking Nakia what would make her stay back in Wakanda while fulfilling her calling. The question remains, has he done it out of compassion for these people or to please Nakia? Does she have an influence over his UN speech and all the commitment he has voiced out? At this juncture, it is imperative to compare the instances T'Challa has to bend some rules because of Nakia with his treatment of Killmonger, which begs the question, why doesn't he replicate that when it comes to Killmonger? He could have saved him by granting him freedom, even if it means ostracizing him from Wakanda. Killmonger is driven by revenge, and T'Challa recognizes that by referring to him as the monster they made. He has an opportunity to re-engineer that monster by offering him life alongside freedom. He could have extended this grace to him, especially when he was interested in making a difference after realizing his father's past mistake. Irrespective of his motivations, T'Challa's goal to make a difference has been the focus of his leadership decisions. His speech at the UN summarizes this as he informs them that he wants to be a distinctive leader by displaying how people should treat each other around the world. He wants to show the powerful nations that instead of using their powers to oppress, they can use them to make a difference. Black Panther depicts an Afro-futuristic black nation, rich in resources and miles ahead in technological advancement. However, self-preservation leads them to keep this away from the rest of the world, but the downside is that they have turned their back on other black people all over the world, living in penury, fear, and abject poverty. T'Challa's goal as a king is to right the wrong in every way possible, and as a transformational leader, he becomes the face of hope and change, not only for Wakanda, but for the rest of the world. Thanks for watching, folks. If you like this video, subscribe to see more entries like these, and you can check out other characters we've covered here.